What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding. Today, I'm joined by Martin Fitzwater and Sergio Oliva Jr. Man, you've been MIA sort of up until recently, seeing you out at the Dubai Muscle Show, seeing you out there in Dubai doing your thing, man. I know my guy, your guy, Aaron Pilates is over there right now in Dubai visiting. And I think he's gone over to Turkey to have his a hair transplant done and all that sort of stuff. But man, what's been going on with you? Let's catch up and see what's been happening in the life of Sergio Oliva Jr.
Man, I always say, when people ask you oh, what's new? If you're a real bodybuilder, the answer is nothing, absolutely nothing, because that means you're doing right. It means every day is exactly the same routine. You're killing it. You're getting rest. There's no distractions. And yeah, except for me being out here, and I moved a couple times here and stuff like that. I got sponsored by Panada, which was really cool. That's literally been it, man. I really just been grinding, and it's been really cool. That's the best part. I love that nothing's going on other than bodybuilding.
That's cool, man. And because obviously you were a guy that, you've had your online feuds and all that sort of stuff. Does it feel nice actually staying out of that and letting Marty take that role?
Yeah, I love it, But, it's the same thing that I used to say about myself that I say about Martin when people want to say stuff is it's a big difference when you're mad at someone for saying their opinion. And there's a big difference in someone saying things that are lies, because then it just comes down to you just don't like the person. So if you replace Martin with Jay Cutler or Flex Lewis, someone that everybody loves, then everyone's going to kind of be like, oh, wow, he's kind of got a good point and this and that. But you change that person out and it's someone you don't like, then it's like, oh, he's whining, he's crying, and then all the insults come. But really, at the end of the day, no matter what, he's not lying.
Yeah, and look at Nick Walker, for example. He was sort of talking a big game before he, ultimately fully delivered on stage and winning pro shows and winning the Arnold Classic, obviously. So leading up to that, obviously, the narrative for him was if he didn't prove it, then he would have sort of had egg on his face. If he came in and placed 5th at the New York Pro, the narrative around him would have changed, but he gained a lot of fans actually by doing well. So it's interesting how the narratives change, and I almost liken it's like tennis. If you watch a tennis match during the game, people will be most of the crowd will be supporting one guy, and at some point it will change during that match, and they'll start supporting the other guy. And it's funny how I suppose fans are so fickle in bodybuilding, especially.
Yeah. With Nick, it just happened to be a lot of also good timing. Because the New York show that he did, he kind of really just was figuring out his own diet with Matt. They were nailing it, but he didn't go against anybody. And that's what I was saying, is that really he hadn't proved himself. And I thought Bonock was going to do that Arnold that year, so that's why I was just like, yeah, there's no way that anyone's going to beat this guy. And then when Bonock fell out, and me, Ian, Kuklo, Justin, Akeem, we all looked the worst we ever have in our entire career. It's the worst I've ever done in my life. And then it's the best he's ever looked. It just amplifies it even more. So it makes it seem like, holy shit, this guy's just one of the best ever. And he is, he's really great. But then you go to the Olympia and everyone's, one of the best. And then it's just kind of like, okay, now he's where he belongs, but it's not like there's no more dominating going on. So I'm excited to see him actually get back into a regular show that's not the Olympia, because then we can see him kind of go against some guys that, a lot of these new guys that are coming up. I'd love to see Martin and Nick go at it. That would be a really good matchup.
Yeah, for sure. And Marty, obviously, you and Sergio are two guys that I think are obviously more than Olympia worthy physiques, two guys that should be on the Olympia stage probably every year from this point in your career onwards. How does it feel looking at that Olympia lineup now, man, and seeing the quality of it and the fact of it? I actually mentioned to someone the other day in the comments on YouTube, I said everyone said, oh, everyone's in it this year. And I said something along the lines of but you're still missing guys like Steve Kuklo, Martin Fitzwater, Sergio Oliva. There's still really good quality guys that are not doing the Olympia this year. So bodybuilding's in a crazy spot. Man, how does it feel? You guys both will probably be there watching. How's that going to feel for you guys? And is that going to be serve as motivation for you, Marty?
Oh, bro, it's going to light a fire under my ass for sure. Just going and training with Brett, seeing him get ready for his show in Romania, knowing that he's going to go kick ass over there, man. That got the fire lit for sure. But I know the Olympia will do that like times 1,000 for sure for me, especially because I definitely saw myself being on that stage this year. But like we've talked about before, I wasn't going to chase the Olympia. I know that I need to improve. So that's what I'm going to go do. And I'll be on that stage when I'm ready. So it'll definitely be motivation for me, man. And I'm excited to go watch these guys. Bodybuilding, like I've said, and like every podcast that I've done, it's about to be the most exciting it's ever been. People will not say shit about the 90s and 2000s and all that shit again. There's 15 to 20 murderers for bodybuilders right now that are all amazing and really got a shot to take a title away from anyone right now. There's no one that's going to be a Phil Heath coming up, I don't think. So
yeah, for sure. Someone asking, Loho says, what's the thing on Martin's nose? And then the answer.
Are we still asking that?
Yeah,
yeah, people that haven't heard it before, they're still wondering what a nasal strip is. So for people that don't know, it opens up your nasal passage, basically.
No, bro, you need to just start making up some crazy shit just to kind of get people to do stuff. It releases actual natural testosterone in your body.
Yeah, bro, it's 10 times, every breath you take is 10 times more anabolic with it. So
as soon as you get on it,
10 times faster.
As soon as you get on like a big blast or something, just start putting a patch on your face and then start putting out the progress photos. People be like, what's that patch, man? Be like, I can't tell you.
Bro, I'm gonna do like a slit in my eyebrow now and like wear the nose strip, and I might get a cross earring too. I can't perm my hair because it's almost gone, but
when would be the point, man, when you'd shave your head, like, and just go full chrome dome?
Bro, it's probably coming, man. I have a clinic that's offered to try stem cell on my hair. So I might actually try that and just see what's up, see if it will last. But honestly,
free is like a sponsorship thing?
Yeah, it would. First, they want to do my shoulders, which is what I'm most interested in. But they've wanted to try some hair on some people. So
what do you mean? Like, I just like actually to help your shoulders. I thought you meant to like regrow hair on your shoulders. I'm like, no. You don't want that, dude.
So I would do the stem cell originally for my shoulders. I have some rotator cuff injuries and stuff just from college shot put that I would like to try the stem cell on and just see if it helps. But then with them doing that, they would be interested in doing the hair as well. So it would just be something that I would kind of try and see. But for me, man, it's not that big of a deal. My dad is bald. He's been shaving his head since he was like 17 or 18 years old. And like my mom's dad's bald, if you want to go by those genetic, like the wives' tale or whatever, he's bald too. So I was
you're fucked.
Yeah, I was fucked no matter what. So I just took steroids and made it go faster than it probably.
That's funny, man. Someone's asking, when's Marty going to be selling the nasal strips?
So they're in the works right now. It's a process to get something like this going, but for sure, definitely working on that.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Sergio, when did you start shaving your head?
Yeah, my hair used to actually be really long. And then in like high school, I shaved it. But my dad used to always yell at me about not shaving my hair. And I think it's because now I'm realizing, now that I'm older, I want my hair back. And he probably wanted the same. So when he had a kid with a white woman, he's like, yes, I've got a son with good hair. I'm going to make sure he never cuts it. And then like one time in high school, I like cut my hair in the shower, so when it's wet and it dries up, it's way worse than what it is. So I like shaved my sideburns, and then it was like all like fucked up. My dad took me to the barber shop, and they shaved the top of my head and left everything else like Hulk Hogan. So my hair was long, and I used to have Yeah, I used to have a ponytail. Yeah, so I looked like Hulk Hogan, but I was in like 7th or 8th grade. So what is that? Like, I don't know, 12, 13.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
And it was so embarrassing, man. The whole school just made fun of me. It took forever for it to grow back in. And after that, yeah, so I learned my lesson. So I never shaved my head again until I got older. And then it was the same thing. It was just kind of like I was already losing my lining. So I was like, oh, I'll just cut it. But I didn't know it was never going to grow back again. So now I've even just been talking about it with Aaron. I want to go to Turkey and do this thing that he's doing. I'm going to let him go do it first. And if that works, then yeah.
No,
You gotta let him do it first.
the place to get hair transplants done for sure.
That's what I hear exactly.
I've heard that.
Well, I heard Ian Valier and Cbum are going out and doing it next year, I think, because they were going to do it, I think, a year ago or something like that. But then obviously COVID and everything happened. But they're going to do it, I think, in January or February. So
I've had people approach me before, but Aaron said that the people told him you only have to stop training for like 2 or 3 weeks. That's the problem, is that there's tons of places, but then they tell you got to stop training for like months, and that's just there's never going to be a time in my life that I can do that.
Yeah, so the sure. reason why is because you can't sweat.
Right.
So, like, I mean, the problem is like, I talked about that, and I'm like if it's hot outside, you're getting a sweat. Like you gotta.
Bro, I sweat in the shower. I'm a fat ass.
That's what I mean. So it'd be kind of interesting, but I'm definitely gonna have to do something.
Yeah, you have to do it when you're off, surely, because otherwise you're just gonna sweat your ass off the whole time, and go in winter. When it's winter as well.
Yeah.
And you might be safe.
Well, I'm screwed out here. There is no winter. I'm into winter right now.
Oh, really? Do you remember when Ronnie Coleman grew his hair back after, like, I think it was before he actually came back at the Olympia?
No, that's when he got 4th.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Did he have anything done?
When Sean did it. They had the same hairstyle.
Roden, yeah. That's crazy. I want to mention actually as well, obviously it's is today the year anniversary since the passing of Sean Roden?
Yeah, today.
Yeah. So obviously, you know, I know you were close with him, Sergio, and you obviously both had the same coach in Chris Aceto, and it's probably a tough time. And I did see you put something up on social media as well. And I did post the link and I pinned it on here as well to donate to Cora, his daughter, as well, because the GoFundMe is still up there. And I wanted to put that out there because Stanwell mentioned it a few weeks ago on the podcast. But man, obviously that affected you a huge amount last year. Is that something that's, you know, I suppose made you change your direction and maybe like think about bodybuilding in a different sort of a way? Because it seems like around that time, that's when everything sort of changed. You moved out to Dubai and it seems like you made some life changes, I guess.
Yeah, it was rough, and it was more rough because this is like the only person besides Aceto that's kind of like been a mentor. You know, like we use that word so loosely in bodybuilding, like everyone's a mentor. Someone can teach you a new workout for your back, and it's a mentor, you know. But Sean was really like a mentor, as in like helping me as like a person, as a man, and also how to deal with the bullshit in this sport. And the person, one of the most people that got screwed in the sport was Sean. And you would never know, you know, just because of his demeanor. So he was just so good at just kind of explaining to you sometimes things before they happened. And that's was like the craziest thing. I would call him like Nostradamus sometimes. He would tell me certain things are going to happen to me and before they did, and tell me how to deal with them. And then they would. And then you deal with them better. So then losing him was really rough, especially from something where it could have been prevented. So it kind of really killed some things for me at the same time of putting things in perspective. So yeah, it made me realize like, man, I don't have that long, you know, I really need to get on it and I really need to make a life change. If I'm going to do this, I need to go all out. This whole like trying to juggle my life and a bunch of other distractions and stuff at the same time while I'm trying to be one of the best in the world, it's just never going to happen. I'm going to end up being 50 years old and it's just never going to happen. But then also, man, I really got burned out, you know, even just with the sport and kind of a lot of the bullshit that goes on with the sport. And yeah, exactly. I kind of needed to get away and just do this on my own. And besides the support, being out here is just amazing. And, you know, everything out here is already better. Me being out here by myself, it's the first time I've ever done bodybuilding by myself. I've always had someone or been doing it with someone. And I literally moved out here and I knew one person and then just did it on my own. And you're either going to like thrive or you're going to break. And the kind of person I am, sometimes if I have help, I will lean on that person. If I don't have it, then I just man the fuck up and I kind of do things on my own because I don't have a choice. So that really helped me a lot. But yeah, I'm still not really over it. I even just only posted something because it's actually my favorite picture of me and Sean. But otherwise, yeah, I don't even like really even talking about it anymore. It really, for some reason, just kind of irks me and bothers me because after it all happened, you found out a lot more information about it. And yeah, it just puts like a really bad light on the sport. and just kind of what they did to him. And it just sucks because you have to go on, and that's what he would want you to do. But this could happen to anybody. And now with everything that's happening now with the Washington Post report and everything that's going on with that, it's very similar. It's very similar. And now I hope this may change everyone's perspective of someone accusing someone of something, because we had one person who's been in trouble for bank fraud and a bunch of other illegal things say Sean did something, and then we just kind of like believed it, and then that was it. And now we have something happening with the sport, and we're all supposed to be like, that's the innocent until proven guilty, but we watched the opposite for Sean. So it's just kind of rough to still think about it. So really the only way I've been dealing with it is actually to not think about it. And if you ask Aceto or Jose, Raymond, or Guy, we all kind of are dealing with it the same way. The only limelight that came out of this, which is really cool, is Eduardo winning his comeback yesterday. Because Eduardo, Jose, and Guy have been together with Aceto and Jay, before we even knew who they were. And they were just kind of a really close brotherhood. And not a lot of people know, when Sean won, he told Kamal that next year we're going to come back and we're going to win together. And not a lot of people know that. And that's the year that Sean couldn't compete. And that's the year Kamal won. So really what would have happened if none of this would have happened? Sean would have won. He would have came back. He would have beat Brandon. He definitely would have won again. Kamal would have won the Olympia. Eduardo Correa would have came back and he would have won his comeback. And it's just kind of like all these guys from back in the day coming back and winning together when they're all brothers. So Eduardo's win has actually been really emotional for all of us. I've been talking about it with Aceto since yesterday. And Jose's having the same feelings and Guy's having the same feeling. And it's almost like he won it for Sean, and kind of like we all feel like we won, because it's a very emotional thing and seeing his comeback. But if you don't really follow them, you're not really going to care and you're not really going to understand. But Eduardo Correa was done. He looked like he had never lifted a weight in his entire life. He's like doing water aerobics in the pool and, trying to figure out what's next in his life. And then to do what Kamal did and then just say, all right, you know what? I'm going to give it one last go. And then you look amazing. Like it's different to go to a show that's shitty and do well and then say, oh, I did my comeback. But like he looked amazing. So that's been the only limelight that's came out of this last couple of days, is Eduardo winning. And like, it's been very emotional for all of us because we're all Team Aceto.
Yeah. And it was cool, man. Like seeing that win from Eduardo and seeing what Aceto posted up as well. I was like, that's so cool. And it's like on the anniversary of, of the passing of Sean. And it's just like, yeah, it seemed like such a big emotional thing. You can see Eduardo looks like he's in tears there. So obviously it's an emotional thing for him because, you can see they're literally crying, hugging on stage. It's like, I even looked through the photos and stuff and you can see the emotion in Eduardo as well. You can see it here with his speech on stage. So, and like you said, he came in absolutely inside out, probably the most shredded he's ever been. And that's saying something because Eduardo's always inside out shredded. So, yeah, it was unbelievable. Marty, what do you think about the condition of Eduardo and what he looked like? And I suppose seeing him win this show.
It's awesome, man. I've followed all these guys forever. So, I know the background and everything. I mean, at one point, Sergio, he was in a wheelchair, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely insane, man. And then obviously, like, his conditioning is better than, anyone's really. It's one of the top ever. He's one of the top guys, and to bring one of his best packages. So it's pretty insane, man. The whole story really is wild, and it's cool to hear from Sergio that everybody's taking that as a win because they should. That everybody's so close with that group, and like I'm not even a part of Aceto's family or anything like that, but when I was at the Arnold with Guy and we all got to sit down and just like hearing the stories of Sean and everything, like it made me feel like a part of it. So it's really cool, man. I love this.
Yeah. This is Eduardo here, is it, Sergio?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just being able to start doing some kind of movement again.
So what was his injuries exactly? I can't even remember now. I know he's had a few.
Yeah, it was a bunch of things. Yeah. I know it was just a bunch of things like some health things that were bad. Then something with his leg, his shoulder. Don't even remember exactly. what it was.
I think he tore his tricep at one point too. So he's like,
yeah,
it's crazy. And he just does not look like, it's unbelievable. He has like no delts here. And it's like to go from that to what he looked like on stage is crazy.
And at his age, that's the craziest thing about it. Is that
how old is he?
Older than me.
How old are you, Sergio? If you don't mind me asking.
I just turned 38 last week.
Okay, yeah. So you're still young in this sport, though, really.
Yeah, I don't think so. I realistically got Sean won it at 44, so I'll say that that's possible, even though I'm not Sean Roden. But that gives me a good 5 years. That that's what I got.
Yeah, and man, imagine Sergio. Imagine if you get to this level of conditioning on stage, like that's some of the best conditioning probably I've just about ever seen. That is just
that's the worst part about it. Is that's what I was for my first show, but then I just started trying to play the size game, and I just never got it again. So that's kind of one of the main reasons why I wanted to come out here. I wanted to just get so disgustingly big that there wasn't one time in my prep I felt like I was small, because I was going through that when I was getting ready for the Arnold. I kept having these conversations with the Cito, like I feel like I'm whittling to nothing, and then I do a show and I weigh more than everybody. So it just kind of was like, really shows how ignorant I was and how I was focusing on the wrong things. So if I just come out here and just get stupid big, now I can just be inside out peeled for my next show. And then I don't see how I would lose. That's the plan anyway.
I'm worrying about size. I was 232 on the Arnold stage.
I know. No, bro, we can talk about Flex Wheeler winning the Arnold. Like, there's so many times that people have won less than what I won my pro card at.
Yeah.
So I know trust me, that's all I do is, I'm such a historian of the sport. I can tell you everyone's weight when they won and this and that. But for some reason, when it comes to me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so little. I'm so skinny. I'm losing all my weight, and then I look like dog shit at the Arnold.
Man, it's always easier to coach someone else. Sorry, and bring someone else in, because you can see you like with a non-biased eye, but when you're seeing yourself every day, it's so hard to be like, okay, I'm a little bit flat, I'll just eat a bit more. You go, I'm flat, panic, eat way more, or that's what you think in your head at least anyway. So it's bodybuilding is a mind game, that's for sure. So
yeah, but, and not a lot of people know about it. They don't even understand that aspect of it. I said it before, like we all do it. We go to the gym, we ate a meal, we're relaxed, there's no pressure, there's no cortisol. And then you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh shit, you hit a front double. And then you compare that to somebody doing competition. It's not the same situation. You got to hit that pose whenever you felt like you looked your best. Bodybuilding is having to hit the pose when they tell you to be ready. And that's the hard part of being a pro, which I wish in Pumping Iron, we all watch Pumping Iron. We all learned Pumping Iron, and that's what got us into the sport. But never once in that movie they talk about nailing your condition for a window that's so little, while all these pressures and then if you even just hang out backstage, sometimes it's so stressful. Like, that's why it's really good when some shows have good promoters and people that have done bodybuilding running bodybuilding shows, because the ones that have never done bodybuilding, you can tell they're just backstage yelling at everybody, making it so hectic, giving you no time to pump up, and it just makes you so stressful that ends up making you look like shit too.
Yeah. And shout out AJ Sims in the comments as well. Says great content, boys. Keep up the great work. Shout out to AJ. Obviously a great coach out there as well with Cement Factory. So shout out to him. But I wanted to discuss something, Sergio. Now I saw Jay Cutler. It was probably about 3 or so weeks ago. Put out a video discussing his top 5 bodybuilders of all time, and he included your dad in there as well. And it's an interesting topic because you've got, obviously, when you really start to go through it, you've got so many greats. You've got Phil Heath with 7 Mr. Olympias. You've got Dorian Yates with 6. You've got Ronnie Coleman with 8. You've got Lee Haney with 8. You've got Arnold Schwarzenegger with 7. Your father, does he have, was it 3 Olympia titles? I didn't want to get that wrong. And then you've got, obviously, Dexter Jackson, who has an Olympia title but has the most pro wins ever. You've got so many greats out there. What do you think about Jay Cutler putting your dad in the top 5? And do you think that, would you put him in your top 5?
I hate when people ask me this, because I know too much of the sport to pick up top 5. It's like asking me what my top favorite movies are, and movies are my life. I could give you 5 of a category, and it's just so hard because since I grew up in this sport, the biggest issue in bodybuilding is that we put emotions into people. You can see it all the time. Sometimes we root for people that really aren't that good, but you had a good experience meeting them. So you're like, oh my God, I love this person. Or vice versa. You met them and they were a dick. And now you're like, oh, they look like shit. But no, they don't. You just don't like them. So there's so many people that I grew up in the sport that I like. Lee Haney is just such a great person to me that I would feel like I have to put him in that lineup. But realistically, if you kind of take him and put him into a lineup of today, he's actually closer to like a Breon in weight and size. But, you know, who you stand next to makes you greater or less great. So each era has different people that I think are just the top 5. Because how do you not put Frank Zane in the top 5? Because do I think I want to look like Frank Zane? No, of course not. But the art of bodybuilding is the illusion of making yourself look like you're bigger than you are. And he's the smallest Mr. Olympia on that list. He weighed the same amount I did my first show, 176. So you could argue, man, Frank Zane's the best bodybuilder ever, because how do you make it seem like you're big enough to stand next to Arnold when you really are weighing like the size of a child? So there's just so many different categories you can put him in. So what I would just say is the people that I want to look like. So Kevin Levrone is definitely one of my top 5 because I wanted to look like him. I wanted to be like him. I think Phil Heath, if you drop him in every single era, besides obviously, you know, forever ago, he wins because he's kind of the best of both. You know, we'd say that all the time. Like, yeah, if you put his back next to Ronnie, of course, Ronnie wins. But you turn him around and Phil's abs are better than Ronnie, you know, in the beginning of Phil's reign. So I think Phil, people get mad at me all the time because I don't put my dad in the top 5. I think the accolade of beating Arnold is really cool, and it's definitely was probably really exciting back then. And now that I'm in the sport, I don't even understand how my dad looked like that. I really don't even understand how he was able to have the measurements he did from the lifting he did. He really did like obnoxious training. It really wasn't any kind of like all the trainings that we have to do today. We're trying to break down. I'm doing back twice a week. I'm doing chest twice a week. They really just did some powerlifting moves and a bunch of pull-ups and wore their pants really high. So it was like a wearing like a scream, and they made their waist small. So, but I could debate all day who's the best of what. How do you not put Jay? You know, how do you not put the people who beat the best? So we have Ronnie, Arnold, and Phil as the most winning, right? So if they're the most winning, then how is not Sean?
And Lee Haney.
Oh, and Lee Haney never lost. So of the most that lost, how do you not put Sean, who beat Phil, Jay, who beat Ronnie, and my dad, who beat Arnold? You know, so that's kind of a cool thing too.
Absolutely, man. And your dad had just when you really look at it and think about what what year you was in here, or what year was this? This would have been.
Yeah, this isn't even the IFBB. He actually looked the best after. So I'll just say this because there's probably people that don't know the history of the sport. So the rule of not being able to compete in other federations was invented by my dad or for my dad. So there's a competition where Arnold beat my dad, and then Arthur Jones decided that he was going to do his own competition in Mexico. And it was just going to be Arnold versus my dad as a rematch. And Arnold and Joe Weider show up to the show. My dad show up to the show. And then Joe Weider, he's very smart, comes up with a rule that now you cannot compete in anything unless it's the IFBB. And if you do, you're suspended. So they didn't allow Arnold to compete. And he just sat in the stands. And then now here's like the part of my dad who definitely hurt himself. He decided he was going to jump off the stage and go pose in front of Joe Weider and Arnold's face. So therefore he got suspended and wasn't allowed to compete in the 71 Olympia, I think. And then, here's again the geniusness of Joe Weider. You have all these people that bought tickets to the Olympia, right? They want to see my dad. So they have my dad guest pose at an Olympia, but he's not allowed to compete. It's genius. So Arnold couldn't lose to my dad because they're not competing against each other, but they're both on stage posing.
Wow.
So like that picture is from the NABA, which is actually where my dad looked the best his whole career was after. And in the intro of your show, I meant to say this the last time that I was on your show 10 years ago, whatever it was. The intro of my dad is actually when he made a comeback at the end. And it's the first and last show he ever dieted. He never did a diet. He never did cardio. He never did any low carbs or anything like that. So that intro at the beginning of your show is the only show my dad dieted down. And it's in 85. And he's actually like 50 years old.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible, man. Imagine if he was on like a proper plan, you know what I mean? Like something like what we did today. It would be so interesting to know exactly what he'd look like, because he was amazing back then. Like just the proportions. It was more just like the conditioning in some shows. He just needed to be harder. And like you said, he only dieted for 2 shows. So it's amazing that he looked the way he did, really.
One show.
Oh, one show. Sorry. One show.
His last show. And that's what my mom says is that's why he retired, because he was like, this shit's hard. I'm out of here.
That's hilarious, man. How do you, like, in terms of like mentally, how do you go in terms of just, I suppose, being on a like diet plan? Because some people struggle. I know, like, you know, Josh Lenardowitz, I know he's struggled with that sort of thing in the past, at least anyway. I know other guys struggle quite bad. I mean, other guys not as much. I know, Marty, you're pretty hardcore in terms of like the motivation now, and you're early in the sport as well. So I think for you, it's probably maybe a little bit easier, but obviously as your career goes on at certain stages, you know, it gets tough. But how do you manage it, Sergio?
I just, I was a skinny kid when I started. So I was 145. So what is that, like 70 kilos when I first started? Yo.
What up, Nathan?
Yep. So my body wants to, it's easier to cut than it is to gain. And I just feel like look at our lives, you know, like we talk about all the downside of bodybuilding, but the good side of bodybuilding is we don't have a boss. We don't have a 9-to-5 job. We don't have to work in an office. We don't have midterms and stuff like that. So I always just tell myself when I'm dieting, like, suck it up. I don't have a job or a boss. I don't have to do tests or anything like that, you know, like people going to school. So if I can't diet for 19 weeks, you know, full on without cheating, then this isn't for me, and I need to be doing something else. So the diet is actually very easy for me. It's the gaining that sucks, having to figure out how to get food down. Sometimes just chewing it and drinking it like a vitamin because I cannot eat anymore. That's the hardest part for me.
Yeah, and it seems like guys now, it seems like a lot of you guys have really fast metabolisms. Like, and it didn't seem like it was like that back in the day really as much. I don't know if it's because you guys are bigger than past eras. Like, Nathan, like, do you think it's because you guys are bigger than past eras, that's why everyone seems to have a crazy metabolism? Because I think about all 3 of you guys, you all seem to have a pretty fast metabolism from what I've heard and what I've seen.
It's different, isn't it? If you look back, I think it's down to the individual, because I know a few guys who, you know, they've got to take a while to diet, bro. And like Sergio was saying then, some of us, you know, it's hard to get big, but look at like the fucking Nick, mate. He gets big quick, and Ian. So I think it's down to the individual, really, isn't it? Yeah,
for sure. Marty, what do you reckon?
When are you going to start adding subtitles for Nathan in this show? I'm asking for everybody.
Listen, Scouse is where it's at. I used to talk like this, the American Scouse, but now I just don't give a flying fuck no more. Fuck it.
Man, it's quite funny. Like, there's always like a narrative in the comments about Nathan talking. Some people are like, I understand Nathan perfectly fine. I don't know what people are talking about. And other people are like, dude, I love Nathan, but I can't understand anything he's saying. So it varies. I can understand pretty good, man. I miss some words.
I'm just fine.
You understand? You fine?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
he's got a bachelor in gangster economics. That's why.
There you go.
That's funny, as. But Nathan, what's been going on, man? Like, I know you're out there in Abu Dhabi. You're out there in Dubai at the Dubai Muscle Show. How was that? What's been happening? Huh?
No, I just got back from Cheesecake Factory, getting fat. But nothing really, mate. Like, I'll be going home this week. I've literally lost my passport the other day, my wallet, put it on the fucking on the car.
You lost it?
Yeah, bro. My passport, my wallet, my fucking credit cards, everything. I got told in the UAE you get your shit back. Do you fuck, mate? Do you fuck? People have quicker hands than anything else here. So all I've got now, bro.
Did you lose it when you're out partying? Because that's different.
I was about to ask that.
I literally bring my bags in. Yeah. left it on the car. I'll go back and get it. Then it went. So, you know, it is what it is. But no, so right now I've got no passport, but I'm like a fucking refugee out here, bro. You know, if it weren't for Apple Pay, I'd be fucked. But yeah, man, I was planning on staying out in Abu Dhabi, but things change. I don't think that's going to be the case. What's going on? So I'm not feeling the vibe at the moment. In Dubai was good, you know. Obviously Dubai for me is not the best place to diet. Sergio knows I was there for 10 days, out for 10 days. I think I've seen the bed twice. But
it's the Las Vegas, the Middle East, that's for sure.
Yeah, so no man, just trying to grow, get big, and hopefully see where we're at in the next 2 weeks.
Nice, man, nice. Let's get to actually no. I want to discuss a little bit first. I think 3 of you guys now. Sergio, you're with Panada. Nathan, you're with Panada, are you?
No.
No, you're not? Okay. Well, scrap that.
They still use his picture.
Oh, listen, I'm out there. I don't give a flying fuck. No, I left there. This is my final year as of February, as of January. I'm no longer be an athlete. So that's why I didn't work the booth. Went out there. Don't know if people know there. Don't know if people know it. Or not. I'll put it out there because I'm going to put it out there next week anyway. Went out to Panate. I tore my left bicep in January, right? Went out to Panate, tried the machine, tore my right bicep the end of July. So all these fucking little gobshites on here, why I'm not doing the Olympia. But 2 bicep tears, you fucking pieces of shit in the same year. So go and fuck your mum. Right? So I was fucking 2 bicep tears, bro. It happened. I felt a niggle at Panada on the Friday, and then I flew home immediately. On a Saturday, I threw my son's football, and then my right bicep just snapped. So something was going. My right bicep just snapped. So I've only been training for the past 14 days. As people see me, I was a lot smaller a few weeks back. Trying to do, you know, a fucking 3-week off season to try and get to the Olympia. See where I'm at. If I do it in 3 weeks, bro, I want to beat some of these fucking so-called top 5, then the shows, obviously, they're a bag of shit. If I can do it in 3 weeks, you're a bag of shit. But yeah, man, see where I'm going to get to the next 2 weeks and then go from there. But in regards to Panate, no, I reached out. I said what happened. I only finally heard back at the expo. You know, the big boss man himself is cool. You know, I think they're great machines, but in regards against the people who work for the company, it is what it is, bro. And now, for me, I believe I was treated with that company like shit. And people might hear it because before Nathan had Panata in the UK, Panata were fucking with dog sticks, bro. They were earning 100 grand a year, if that. Now they're in multi millions in the UK. You know, ask any gym in the UK in millions, stuff my name alone. I didn't get a piece of the pie, which I wasn't happy about. They then took, I'm going to air the laundry for 50% of my salary off me because I kept my gym open over COVID. Bag. They asked me why I'd done it. I said, because I've had 3 friends kill themselves in the past 6 months. So I'm doing it for that reason. You know, family gym, didn't care. Rudy himself, fucking top guy. Think people around him are the best. In my opinion, I'm always arguing with them, you know, and so I won't be signing for them next year, mate. So I've been waiting to fucking get out of it for the past fucking 18 months. So fuck them, and that's what it is, mate.
Yep, fair enough, man. I appreciate you giving your opinion and obviously what happened with you and stuff like that. And Sergio, tell us about how good Panada are.
Xavier, dick.
But yeah, no, I'm joking, obviously, man. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic.
Nathan, show him your arm. Show him your arm. Look at it. You can't even tell that this guy tore both biceps. That's the craziest
Yeah,
thing about it, is that I didn't even believe
on the clock. See the 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
See it there.
See, you can't see it. You can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't see it.
And I think you and Xavier are taking the same amount of gear right now.
Listen, even though I'm the Trent all year round guy, I've literally only been on gear this year for the past 12 days, and I'm roughly around 130 kilo. And obviously, you know, a little 400 milligram of Trent is in there, of course. Keep it
I was about to say. Man, we're going to be launching those t-shirts too. We're going to put them up, but we'll put them up. But actually, I'll put them up after this show airs, and we'll be able to get those up there. I'll try to find the design that we sort of put out, decided on. But I'll put that up when I find it anyway. But guys, one guy that actually did just sign with Panada is Big Ramy, and there's been a bit of talk about his latest updates. I actually did a video and I sort of just asked the question, like, is his quads an issue in terms of, like, there was sort of on one of his quads, I don't know how much was the lighting or what it was. It looked like there's almost like a little bit of a divot or a hole sort of in his right quad that looked, to me, worse than past years. And obviously he's the best in the world. He's going to be critiqued harder than anyone. I sort of knew that was going to be something that came up on other channels as well. And I wanted to ask you guys, and I'll bring up the photos of it, do you think that Big Ramy's quads could be an issue for him at Mr. Olympia this year or next year? I put up a poll as well in the live chat, just sort of putting it out there and just asking the question. Marty, what do you think about this? I'll bring up the photos or give your answer as well.
Well, I don't love it. I don't think it looks good. So.
Martin, you're going to get your head cut off.
You guys already know that I don't really love Ramy's physique anyways, and the quad last year, instead of having a hole in it, had a huge lump in it. So what's the difference, I guess? But no, I think honestly, guys, like Ramy looks incredible. I think somebody's gonna have to show up really, really good to beat him, man. Even with the big ass hole in his quad, to be honest. But I do think that very soon his title will be somebody else's. Yeah.
How soon?
I thought that he announced that this was his last one. No,
I've heard that as well.
I think that's
he's been like wishy-washy on it.
Yeah, it's like a rumor because he's hinted at it but hasn't said. I don't know. And then like they did an interview and then they were like, "No, we didn't say that at all." Right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know the translation. I was like, I wasn't sure because there's some people saying that he said that, and other people saying that no, he didn't even say that. So I'm confused. But he did actually say something in one interview, and someone translated it for me, and he basically said, actually no, I think he actually even said it. And I was trying to understand exactly what he was saying, and I actually got it a little bit wrong when I reported it. But basically, he said that he told his kids he'd retire at 38 or something like that. Yeah. But then he like wants to. I think basically he sort of said it sounded like his country. He's doing it for more than just himself. He's basically sort of doing it because his country wants him to compete and all that sort of stuff. So I think he's got a lot of pressure from, Egypt and wanting him to be the champion and continue, I suppose, his reign. So I don't think, though, he'll do it for too many more years. Sergio, what do you think about his quad and what, I suppose, when you think Ramy will sort of hang things up?
Yeah, because I thought he was done. But if you see him out here, he looks the happiest he ever has been. I think that he definitely took care of some of the personal stuff that he was dealing with the last 2 years that he definitely doesn't have to deal with. So that's probably added to his happiness. But there's a reason why he's staying here and he's not in America. And I don't know what that is. I don't want to speak on it. But whatever it is, every time you see him, he's just really in like Ramy's always in a good mood. But he's just kind of like glowing on a different level. Yeah. And he's that condition-wise now as he was when I saw him at DJ's house last year. He's way ahead. So maybe he's just happy because he knows he's way more conditioned. Because let's face it, that's all he has to do.
Yeah.
As long as, look, Brandon, we were talking about top 5 bodybuilders. As a person and as like an ambassador of the sport, Brandon's one of the top 5 ever for ambassador of the sport. So I love Brandon. I love Brandon more than anybody. But as long as Brandon is second, Ramy just has to be conditioned. That's the only thing that he has to focus on. And I can't even imagine being a bodybuilder, let alone Mr. Olympia. And all you have to do is just worry about conditioning. You don't have to make anything bigger. Nothing needs to really come up. Like that's what you're losing on. So I think he definitely has less stress. But no, he'll definitely win because there's no one that's really going to be able to stand next to him height-wise and width-wise and just thickness to make you look at anyone else. I was at that Olympia, both of them that he won. And I like a pleasing physique like Brandon a little bit better. But no matter what, if you're there in person, this is the biggest problem with bodybuilding is people don't go to shows. If you're there in person, you just can't stop looking at Ramy. It's just like, even if you don't like him, you're just like, Jesus Christ. And as long as he has that wow factor, the judges are thinking the same thing. They can't stop looking at him. So he'll win. The thing with his leg, I have no idea. I asked DJ when I was staying with him about what Ramy was taking and everything. Of course, how do you not? And he said that he's not putting anything in his legs. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, he definitely shouldn't be putting anything in his legs now. But people have brought up his other body parts as well, and people always are sort of looking at the glutes to see if there's big marks or something on those. And people have mentioned his shoulders. I think because he has so much muscle, but if anything gets inflamed or extra, it just looks crazier. You know what I mean? It starts to look sort of a bit extra. But Nathan, what's your thoughts on Big Ramy's, potential injury, whatever you want to call it, hole in his leg, quote unquote. But what do you think about that? And when do you think he'll hang it up?
First of all, bro, I heard twice he was retiring, and I heard this is his last year from a good source. But unless Ramy tells me himself, then obviously, I'm not going to believe it. In regards to the quads, let's just put it like this, right? Everyone has issues to the legs, right? Martin put it there himself, fucking last year he had the big ass lump on his leg, and he still won the Olympia, right? This year he's got a big ass hole in his leg. He's more than likely still going to win the Olympia.
Yeah.
Now, without digging people out, Nick is a great bodybuilder. Then look at Nick's issues, right? In Nick's legs, you put in the fingers. Look at Nick's lower legs, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You can go along to Hadi and Hadi's shoulders and this and that. Every person in that top 5, mate, has got an issue. Hunter Labrada, Tone Pech. Everyone's got an issue. So everyone's taking this big fuss about Ramy's legs. So what? It's an imperfection. The judges mark imperfections down. No, they don't. They should do, but they don't. Sadly, if we could see the scorecards in real life, so on a Saturday night, put the scores on the board. Steve Weinberger scores this. Everyone knows where they're going to get then. So everyone knows where they're at. But and then you can ask, well, imperfections there or what? I can't see it being a fucking issue. Do I notice it? Yeah. Am I asked? No. I honestly don't care because again, it's like me before they even tore my left bicep. My left one was always a little bit shorter than my right one anyway, and you could see it because I had an injury to my forearm prior to that. Everyone's got imperfections, mate, and it doesn't come down to that. The overall physique, it's bodybuilding. I would say last year's leg personally looked a lot more worse than this Holmes leg. Last year was fucking ridiculous. Looked like he had the fucking. Ever seen that fucking ball, the other head coming out of his neck? It looks something like that coming, and he still won it, which still won the Olympia. So it doesn't really matter about a little imperfection in the bandwagon because it's Ramy and because he's Mr. Olympia, and that's cool. Ramy probably won't even listen to none of this anyway, and honestly won't even give a flying fuck. He's just going to go there, mate. Go there and get his paycheck because we all know. I hate to say it, mate. It's going to be a straight fucking win. Brandon's my boy. Yeah, William looks fucking phenomenal when I see him the other day at the Bible show. And, do I reckon William's going to beat him? No, I don't. William's got a fucking amazing physique, mate, but put next to Ramy makes everyone look like a child, like a physical fucking child. And William's 5'3" or something, 5'4", and Ramy's going to make him even smaller. You know what I mean? He's just gonna he's that physically big. And then even the other day when I see him at Beano's, I would give him a hug. Of course, I grabbed his back, felt his ass, see how fucking hard he was. And the cunt is fucking hard. He's hard, mate. And that picture, and Sergio will tell you himself, that picture does not do him justice. And that's the God's honest truth, mate. Like, he was posing in Beano's, and that picture, he looks way better than that picture, and that's the God's honest truth. In that picture, you can't even see the detail in his leg, but I was seeing him with his legs down. I asked him, seeing him, and listen, this year is going to be the best Ramy you're going to see, I believe, and he's just going to go there like Phil did on his fucking first 6 Olympias. He's going to go there, mate, just walk on there, smile, give me the money and get off. And that's.
Do you think it'll be a situation where? Do you remember when Phil came out and they all came out, did the comparisons, and they're like, Phil, get back. You can go back now. Basically, as in like you've won it, we don't need to compare you. Do you think that will happen? It's going to
be that simple, mate. It's going to be that easy for him. Sergio sees him every day in the gym. He's trained. This is the first time I've seen him training. He's training happy. He's confident. He's strong again. I've never seen him this strong since he was training with Chemo and Al Nori in Kuwait. He's just happy, mate, in general. So whatever he's doing, whatever he's got going in his life, it's just perfect. He's coming in the gym. He's talking to everyone. Ramy's normally a shy individual and doesn't talk to them, but this time he's walking around the gym. He's taking time out of sessions and he's talking to everyone. He's in that zone to where he knows he's that good now, mate. He knows, he's hard catching me, regardless of how Hunter comes in and Nick and Hadi. Ramy hasn't got that detail like fucking Hadi has, but the detail Ramy's going to bring is different level, mate. It's night and day. It's going to be, I believe, and I think it's going to be a walkover.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely could be, man. Shadowback asked, Sergio, how does it feel living in Dubai versus SoCal? With a super chat.
I miss my weed.
Legal weed too.
It's a big difference going from being able to drive and smoke and walk down the street and smoke and just be openly free about it because it's legal, and having to hide everything and be sneaky here and do everything the right way, the legal way, the Christian or Muslim way. But that's really the only difference, because I can't complain. The gym in San Diego is the best. The best place to live in America is San Diego. Fuck Texas. Fucking goddamn. No, San Diego is very nice because it's not LA and it's not being ran by all the bullshit that's going on in California. San Diego's like completely different. I'll move back there. I just wanted to come back out here, prep for a couple shows. It's a big importance for me to do the Olympia. I haven't been there in 4 years, so I really just wanted to make a point to do it. And I do better when people forget about me. It's really hard to, I'm the best bodybuilder in California. That's how pathetic California is now. That it used to be the best place for the best bodybuilders. And now I saw Mo at the expo, and I'm like, man, you got to hold it down. You're the only pro in fucking California, like competitively competing pro. Not, I just have a pro card because I did Junior USAs or something like that. So that's probably the only difference in a negative way. Everything else is a positive. The gym is better. The support out here is better. It's crazy because in America, if one bodybuilder is doing better than the other, it makes them feel like they're taking something from them when it's not true. We're out here, everybody's kind of supporting everybody. Who knows? It might change. Maybe just because I'm new out here, and maybe I'll have haters out here eventually as well once I start killing it. But no, I love it out here. The only thing I wanted to say about what Nathan was saying, though, not that Bonac is going to beat Ramy, but I do think that this is going to be the best Bonac's ever looked, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I've seen it, like seeing him compete in person too is a bit different as well, because he's got some freaky round muscle that I think in person, watching him on stage, it looks different. Like I sat, I think, second or first row at, I think it was the Australian Pro, or as one of the first Arnold Classic Australias, where Bonac, that was the first show where he sort of broke out in the open, and that was against Sean Roden. And I was sitting there, I was like, is this dude beating Sean Roden? I can't tell. Like, it was like, because he had that crazy level of hardness that was harder than Roden, and it just popped, and just like the way it looked on just being their front row, I was like, this is crazy. Like, he looks insane. And I was like, is he about to break out now? And then I sort of realized, seeing all the media after the show, everyone was like, Bonak looked crazy. But yeah, in person, he's a different creature. But obviously standing next to Ramy, and how many tall guys are Ramy Olympia this year, big, tall guys with a lot of muscle. Sometimes I think he can get lost. But in a one-on-one matchup against these guys, I think he looks more impressive in a way. So
yeah,
he did. No, he did beat Ramy at the Arnold that we did. It was Bonak, Ramy. But that's what you can do in bodybuilding. You can name some stat to offset some other person's statement all day. That doesn't mean that that's going to happen this year. But I don't think Bonak is 5'3". It's kind of exaggerating.
You knew what
but we know you meant 5 foot. He's the same height as Sean Ray. If realistically, if Bonak was, let's say, 4 inches taller, he would have one of the best back double buys ever in the history of the sport.
Yeah.
The glute, hamstring, his lats touch his ass. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's nuts. One guy I wanted to discuss actually was GoodVito, who competed this weekend. First show in the NPC, obviously doing this show to then go on to a pro qualifier, which I think he's doing. He announced in November, the end of November. I think it's 26th or something like that. I want to get your guys' opinion. Marty, what did you think about GoodVito? I'll bring up some video of him as well while we're discussing it.
I think he looks badass, man. I think he's got an awesome physique. I don't think I saw any back shots on stage from the front. Well, he was very conditioned. His quads were good. He's got a good waist. He's got good taper. He doesn't really have any weak body parts. His posing is a little wonky, but I think part of that is just where he was before they kind of pose like that more. So as he gets in the IFBB, it'll probably start to change,
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, like, it's just more stage experience a lot of the time with him. Yeah. Sergio, what's your thoughts on GoodVito? Have you seen the photos of him yet?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that every 212 guy does, is that they look insane when they're by themselves. And then you stand next to somebody who's 5'10" and they look like they're a midget. So I think by himself, he looks like he could beat Derek Lunsford, with those quads and a waist. He looks ridiculous, except for not tanning his face. I don't know whose decision that was. Who told him to do that? But it's hard to think that this guy's an amateur, because no matter what, he's getting amateur support, and if he just gets on the scene, he's going to have a ton of other support and mentoring that I'm sure will make him twice as good.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got, like, his quads are crazy impressive. They're so striated. But then there's just some other aspects of his physique that just don't look as hard. But that might be because he's so young still. He's only, like, what is he, 25, 26 or something like that?
Same age as
whatever it is. It's disgusting, whatever his age is. But he's 212, right? That's what he would be? Like, I don't know his height.
No. I think he's way bigger than that. I think he's like 240, 250 or something.
He was a super heavyweight. That's all I know.
Oh, he is. Oh.
Yeah, so he's not super short, but when he was compared to other guys, I've got some comparisons in this video as well somewhere. He didn't look
as wild when he was next to guys.
Because I've heard that he's like 240, 250 or something like that, but he doesn't.
But will he beat Hunter? Will he beat Martin?
What?
I don't think so.
You think he'll beat Hunter?
Yeah, I was asking if you think he'll beat Hunter.
No
way. I think that once he stands next to other guys, like when you look at this pose, for example, you can see, like, compared to this guy here, who you'd say is not pro standard, he just doesn't look that huge, and just the upper body here. I don't think he's posing it right for starters, but it just doesn't look. He doesn't look crisp at all across this upper body, and doesn't have the depth to the midsection and the chest. But I think that would be exposed. But the legs are world class, so it's like, you got sort of like, next level pro level here, and then maybe he just needs to just improve this with time. But the fact that he's only 25 is pretty crazy, and obviously sort of a similar age to you, Marty. So I think everyone sort of goes, he's only 25, it's crazy, but people forget that you're only 26. Yeah,
No, I'm only 25.
Oh, you're 25 still. Okay, there you go. You're the same age. So
Yeah, I turned 25 in January, or 26 in January. But yeah, man, no, like he's probably the most impressive 25-year-old there is out there. So right up there with me, you know, there's no young guys out there like this. So he's gonna do very well. He just needs some time, very similar to me, you know, just needs some time to mature up and make sure that conditioning matches front to back, top to bottom. You know, his is a little bit maybe bottom is better than top. Mine's like the back doesn't match the front, you know. So you got to make those match. But us younger guys, you just got to keep doing the work.
For sure, that's absolutely right, man. Nathan, what's your thoughts on GoodVito?
I think he's good, bro. You know, he's got to mature a little bit. But he's got the main part down to a T, the wheels, right? They're the hardest thing to bring up anyway. So
yeah,
his back's a little bit wank, but you know, I'm sure that's going to come along once he turns pro and people start jumping on the bandwagon and he starts getting new fucking gurus after them and this person helping him. Things change, you know. Everyone wants to jump on the fucking hype train. You know, we've seen that prior this year with other athletes, and I believe he's going to be good, man. Like give the guy a good 18 months. It's going to be a different kettle of fish, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing as well. It's more just people thinking that he'll be so high in shows that I think leads to so much fan expectation.
No, listen, the conditioning's in there. The conditioning's in there, mate. At some of the shows this year, he would have won. I'm not asked. The conditioning's in there. Some of the shows this year have been a load of pile of shit, right? I'm not saying no. I'm not being disrespectful to people who won it, but the condition has been shit. You know, put him in the first fucking after the Arnold, put him in the and after Bonac won this, put him in the first 5 shows. He'd win any of them shows, and he'd be in the Olympic. And that's a fact, bro. Like the glute to ham tie is ridiculous. The quads are ridiculous. Okay, the back needs a bit more detail and thickness. You know, obviously this is only an amateur show, and he stated he's not even 100% here. He's just here to win it. So you know, if this is what he's saying, can you imagine if he is 100%? I believe he'd win a lot of men's open. Would he place top 5, top 7 Olympia? No, but he'd fucking get there first time out.
If he was on the Brazil Pro show right now, he would win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. I feel like we just need to see him against these other guys to really know exactly what he looks like. So Nathan, like in those, like you said, those first 5 shows after the Boston Pro this year, like should we name off the guys that won those shows?
Just name them. No, I'm not shy. You can name
you obviously
them.
had Blessing won a couple of those shows, I believe it was. So do you think this physique here from GoodVito would have beaten that version of Blessing?
Listen,
yes.
Give Blessing a fucking good goal, mate, if not won him. You know, it could have been Blessing won 1 week after he goes there and gets beat by him. That's how it would have been. And that's the God's honest truth. Blessing's a freak standing there. But this kid's tie-ins are way better than Blessing's. They just are, mate. And if he bring, you know, if he was to come down another fucking 6-7 pounds, yeah, it's fucking he'd be rock hard. His wheels would make Blessing look like a fucking men's physique.
He would dominate in the legs, Blessing for sure.
That's what I'm saying. So Blessing would make him look like. But obviously people say, you know, oh, but what's the first thing you see when you get on that stage? Symmetry, quads. He'd beat Blessing just walking out, standing there. Boom. Just relaxed. He has a better physique than Blessing. Just physically standing there. Blessing would dwarf him, you know, a lot of poses, but it'll go back and forth. You know, and then okay, would he beat Andrew Jack? No, he wouldn't. You know, but a lot of other guys he'd beat, mate.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Matty, what do you think?
Oh, I think he could definitely win pro shows. I mean, I definitely think he needs to be probably 5 to 7 pounds tighter, and then he really that's what we would see if he competes in the pros, where he would hold up. But he, like I said, man, he doesn't have any weak body parts. His legs are crazy impressive. And like Nathan said, when him going against Blessings, if he's in complete shape, then I do think it could go either way between those two. I just got to see Blessing, actually. He looks really impressive now. He's improved a ton since his win, so that'll be cool to see.
Yeah, you got to train with him out there, man. How was he looking in person compared to what we see, I guess, online?
No, he looks sick, man. He's already in very, very good shape. They're doing the right thing by, dieting him early and then being able to pull things back and let him coast in. I think his body does best like that. That's what they did with the other shows, and now he looks wild, man. He's super strong right now. We trained back together, so that was a blast, man. He kicked my ass, so it was fun. But yeah, man, no, he looks crazy impressive. He's brought his legs up a lot. He's really been training his legs a ton, hitting them twice a week mostly. He's starting to pull back a little bit now that they're getting closer to the Olympia. But he's going to be impressive, man. I'm excited to see his improvements for sure.
That's cool. Awesome. Where did you train down there? Was it at the Redcon gym?
Yeah, him and I trained at the Redcon gym. It's really sick. It's a good gym.
Yeah.
Be interested to see what happens with it, with all the, I don't know what's going to happen with them, I guess, but.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what's going on there, obviously. They said they were paying that, like, we haven't talked about any of this, but they said they were paying that bill, which was like 7.1 million. What was it, 7 point something or 7 million, which is a decent amount of money, obviously. So I don't know what's going on with them. Do you guys know anything about that, or probably you don't want to disclose if you do know anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Did I have anything else written down to discuss? One thing I actually wanted to touch on as well. Did you guys see Chris Bumstead this weekend? He did an appearance at Carbon Culture, which is Brandon Curry obviously is involved with those gyms. I don't know if it's exactly his gym or if it's he's in a partner's gym, but he did an appearance there, and there was so many people like jammed into that gym. Like there was hundreds of people. It was like, and he like walks in there, and there's like these young kids in the front that are obviously fans of his, going mental as soon as he walks into the gym. And it's like he got a full celebrity welcome. And I heard Ian Valier talk about it recently, saying that Chris Bumstead, he said, you don't really get the concept of how famous he is now until you go out in public with him. Just like going to a supermarket, he said, he's getting stopped constantly for photos. And it's like, you can't just go anywhere with him really. So, I mean, it's crazy. He's got over 10 million followers on Instagram and all that sort of stuff. But did you guys see this and how crazy it was?
He's like the Taylor Swift of bodybuilding.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it was like, I was even sort of blown away because in our own like circle, we all sort of just go, oh yeah, well, he's sort of the most famous person in bodybuilding right now. And we just sort of just know it as that. But he's just on another level, I guess. And some of you guys, Sergio, I know you've experienced it recently going to India. It's like you're a movie celebrity, like when you're over there. Like I've seen all the videos and stuff of you and Kai Green and a bunch of guys. I don't know if you've done it, Nathan, but how does that feel, I guess? Because you get like sort of, I suppose, an insight to see what it's like to be like a big time celebrity, I guess.
Yeah, it's overwhelming for sure. I mean, it depends on if you like it or not. Like me, I don't like it. It's definitely like I definitely get claustrophobic, I get anxiety. But India's different. India will make anybody feel like they're a superhero out there. But I will say with Chris, if it was going to be somebody, I'm glad it's him, because no matter what, he speaks well. He has good demeanor. He doesn't have any skeletons in his closet. So if we are going to have one guy who's going to be like the most famous bodybuilder ever, I'm glad it's him, because I remember when I was young and I saw Ronnie Coleman on the Jay Leno show. We finally get a bodybuilder on an important show. It's on the Jay Leno talk show. And the whole time when Ronnie's talking, I'm just like, oh my God, this is like such a bad example. Like people are going to think all bodybuilders are like this. Then he strips off all his clothes, like a snap away clothes, like a stripper. And then he's just in his posing trunks while Jay Leno's just like checking out his ass. And that's the only time we've ever had any mainstream bodybuilder on something like that. So now that we have Chris, I'm just glad that it's him, because, he's like the best person.
Yeah, because he's not like, he seems very, even though he's so famous, he seems somewhat relatable. And he's, he leans into all of his things. He's got a lisp, so he leans into it. He leans into anything that I suppose normalizes him to other people. And I think that's why like all these guys here in the front, they're all like are super fans of Chris. You can see like they react like crazy as soon as he walks in. I think see these guys here, they're going nuts. It's like, it's sort of mind blowing to us that these guys and stuff, it's almost like, you know, when chicks like have like, there's like a boy band and there's like young girls and they just go absolutely nuts. It's like guys do that for Chris Bumstead, which is sort of weird.
It's true.
It's cool. It's cool. But I mean, Chris, we don't know how long he's going to be competing for in Classic because, you know, his motivation obviously isn't the money. It's the money he gets from winning the Classic Olympia would be ridiculous. Like it'd be absolutely nothing. You know, 40K or whatever it is. I think they're going to up it or whatever, but it's still nothing for him. So the money isn't a factor. It's more the legacy, and he doesn't really need it to stay relevant at this point with over 10 million followers on Instagram and obviously a huge following on YouTube and making plenty of money. So I suppose who's going to overtake? I suppose who's going to be the next star in bodybuilding overall and in Classic as well? Because you've got guys like Urs who is, you know, I think he's super charismatic, and if he can, you know, he may move to the US at some point. He sort of mentioned that, which I think he's a potential star there. I think, you know, some of you guys as well, you guys all have great personalities that can be, you know, big names in bodybuilding. And Sergio, you've obviously come from, you know, family wise, obviously your dad was a big name, you're a big name, so you've got that sort of aura and that legacy about you as well. So I mean, who do you guys think? I'll go to you first, Sergio. Who do you think will be sort of the next star in bodybuilding, and who will be the next star in Classic? And can anyone grow to the level of Chris Bumstead?
I don't think there's gonna be, because the weight restrictions for that class means that a lot of the guys are going to be smaller or shorter, and for some reason, Chris can look big, and he's tall, and he's beautiful. You know, so it's just. It's going to be hard to top someone like that, you know. And bodybuilders, they're all like slow, you know, and they're not very articulate, you know. And the more serious bodybuilder you are, it's almost like the more slower you are because your whole life is bodybuilding. So it is what it is, unfortunately. So I think this is going to be the best that we're going to get. This is a Justin Timberlake.
I wonder what he would do, like, because obviously he's a guy that's ambitious, and once he hangs it up from bodybuilding, at least the competing side of things, I know he's obviously got the business with Raw and Revive and everything he's doing there. He's going to do a lot with that, but I always wonder if he's going to do something else mainstream, like in terms of acting or anything like that. Do you see that in his future, like any of you guys?
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
Yeah. I think he's obviously got the name, so I think he could definitely do. It wouldn't even necessarily need to be like a movie type role. I think he could do like spots on TV shows and stuff like that, where, yeah, he's just got that sort of charisma where he could play roles, I think, and do well at it. Nathan, do you see Chris doing any of that sort of stuff?
I don't know him that well, bro, to fucking even comment on, to be honest. So
yeah,
no, I spoke to him twice. It's about it, so I can't really comment, to be honest, and say yeah or no. Sorry about that one, buddy.
That's all good, man. Marty, what do you think? Do you see Chris, like, in terms of how long do you think he'll actually compete for as well? Because obviously the motivation to stay at the top of that class, everyone would think, you know, being especially like amateurs and stuff, you think, well, obviously you want to be the best in the world. You're best in the world, may as well stay there. But I think once you're there, it would be a very different story being in Chris Bumstead's shoes. So what do you think in terms of how long he'll compete? And then do you see him doing anything else big after bodybuilding?
Honestly, I don't think he'll compete that much longer. I think he'll retire as a champion and he'll move on to something else, probably acting. I could see him doing something like that. But like, I don't know Chris enough to say I know his mentality, but just from the way he talks and stuff, he's talked about retiring or being done. Obviously, he has the health stuff and stuff like that. But it's really different than like Phil Heath's mentality, right? Like Phil was never going to be done until somebody beat him. Like he would have gone to win 15. Like he was a murderer. That's his mentality. I'm not sure Chris's is like that. So maybe it's because he didn't do as much athletics and stuff. So that's not as much his background. But I definitely see him retiring as a champion, going on to do something else, continuing to be super famous, and also continuing to grow fitness because I think he really has a passion for it. And
yeah, absolutely.
one of the things you threw up there was the Uris being the next Chris Bumstead. I think that actually Sergio is wrong. I think that Uris probably can be that famous. He's as charismatic. He's as pretty on stage. His physique is as desirable. He has the ballet background with his mom having that background and stuff. I really could see him acting even maybe over Chris, to be honest, because he really he has that desire. I think any of us that are, if we wanted to put a lot more effort into it, I think we could all give our personality out there and have not as much fame as Chris, but more fame. He's just done an awesome job of showing vulnerability and being vulnerable with his fans, and a lot of us aren't willing to do that. So, he killed it, and he's got a niche, man, and it's incredible to see. Like, at least it's growing bodybuilding, in my opinion. That's all that matters. Like Sergio said, it's awesome to see that he's progressing the sport and letting all these young kids know. It is a little bit sad. I keep hearing these guys call him the Mr. Olympia, and they don't even know who Ramy is. I don't like that. But we'll progress them into understanding that he's in the as Phil Heath called it, the weekend warrior class. But
I was waiting.
But no, I love Classic, man. I think it's awesome, and I think it's an awesome way to get these younger guys interested in bodybuilding and show them that realistically, someone like Brett goes from Classic to Open and still keeps a beautiful physique and still kills it, and that gives me hope that young kids will take that route, hopefully. So love to see that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Now let's get into a few of the listener questions, or viewer questions on here, because we haven't got to any today so far. Here we go. This one is from Eternal. Says, do you think Nick or Hunter will get past Hardy at this year's Mr. Olympia? Nathan, what do you think?
Out of the both of them, I reckon Nick had the better chance, I personally think, than Hunter. But can I see him get past Hardy anyway in general? I don't know. To be honest, I think it's going to be fucking. I think he's got to try and get past Bonach, to be totally honest, mate. Because I'm going to see him in the top 5 this year, so that's another threat to them. You know what I mean? But the best person out of both of them to do it would be Nick rather than Hunter, I think.
Yeah. Sergio, what's your thoughts?
No way.
Yeah. Do you think Hardy's just too good in terms of the conditioning level, and obviously working with Hardy Rambod and he's actually out there for the last 7 weeks of his prep, it looks like, with Hardy as well. So this is the longest he's going to be out there one-on-one.
He was just here. Hardy's the uncrowned Mr. Olympia for sure, 100%. If he was just taller, then he would be winning every show. It's just when you stand next to Ramy, like I said, it's just hard to look at someone who's really perfect condition, perfect quads, good small waist. I mean, you can nitpick, like Nathan was saying, shoulders and this and that, but he's the uncrowned Mr. Olympia of this generation for sure. Do you think that he could have won 2 Olympias potentially? Because people suggested last year he potentially could have won. Oh, not last year. Or was it? Yeah, last year. And then also 2 years prior to that, when Brandon Curry won the Olympia, he actually finished in 3rd. I thought he should have been 2nd, in my opinion, or maybe even challenging Brandon for the win in that one. And so, yeah, what do you think about those 2 Olympias? Yeah, for sure, especially because that wasn't Bonak's best. He just kind of was just the guy who's left, so they put him in 2nd that year. But yeah, it definitely was not Bonak's best. He had a ton of injuries and stuff that you could have easily put Hardy in there. But I actually think that the top 5 from last year are not going to be the same top 5 this year. I think that it's going to be Ramy. I think it's going to be Brandon. I think it's going to be Hardy for sure. But the other 2, I think, are actually going to change.
Really? Do you have any names to put in there?
I mean, Derek for sure.
Yeah, he's almost going underrated at this point, where I don't know where he's going to place because we haven't seen him in the Open yet, but he's almost started to go under the radar because of the level of this lineup.
Well, Derek, Hunter, Nick, Bonak, and Hardy are all the same height. So when you're all the same height, it's kind of just fair game. It's going to be whoever's the best.
Hunter's taller.
By what, an inch?
No, like 2 or 3. Because I'm the same height as Nick. We're all 5'7". Me, Bonak, Nick, Hottie.
You think Hunter's 5'9"?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit. I don't think he's. Yeah, maybe 5'8", 5'9", I reckon.
And if you go look at the pictures of him and Brett next to each other from Chicago, they're the same height. And Brett's
right. True. So I think if you throw Derek in there, it's completely different. And then there's no way that I'm going to be out here with Andrew and not think that if this guy just is a little bit crisper in his glutes, that they'll throw him in that top 5, 100%.
He has a very impressive stage presence, because when he came out on the video in Texas, I was like, holy crap. But when the comparisons and I saw the photos go up, I'm like, wait, Marty looks next level next to him in certain shots. But I think I would love to see him in person to know what he looks like, to actually get the idea of seeing him on stage, because I don't think you can really get an appreciation or know what it exactly looks like until you see him in person. Like, I would have loved to have been in Texas so I could actually see and for sure say, okay, Marty cleaned up on these shots and it was really close, or okay, maybe his stage presence was too good. It's hard to say until you actually see him in person. But
Nathan was saying it when he was here, is that people don't know Andrew's looked like this for the last 3 or 4 years. He's pretty much been just walking around looking like this same person. He's just not been doing shows. He's just been doing this shit for fun. So if he can just figure out the condition part, which is now the part of being a pro, his height is just the same kind of attention grabbing that you get from Ramy. Like I was saying, is you just cannot stop looking at this guy. And I get that every day in the gym. Is just looking at him. And if I think I'm not going to do another set or not eat another meal, you look at Andrew, you're going to definitely eat it.
That's awesome. Nathan, what do you think? Did you answer this? Could Nick or Huddy get past Huddy?
I was first, bro. I was first.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad.
Get it together, Xavier.
Sorry, my man. It's early here. I've been up for ages. It's only not even 7 a.m. yet. So let's see. Where's the next question? Crizzo or Jacked? Both obviously doing the Mr. Olympia. Sergio, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, Jacked for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Nathan?
After seeing Crizzo make the other day, I'd say Jacked for sure. You know, the hype around Crizzo, man, it was hype, and that was it, you know. He should have looked way better than what he did, you know. But, you know, for this fair, he put his fair show against Andrew's fair show. Andrew.
Well, you have to remember too that Andrew is standing next to Martin. Everybody looks better standing next to Martin. So.
And someone asking as well, what did Sergio think of Andrew Jacked after training with him?
You know, to tell you the truth, Regan was actually more impressive. Regan, I told Regan this when he was here. I think Regan's got one of the best back double buys for a white guy in bodybuilding. He's got one of the best backs. His hamstrings are nuts. And seeing him train, he's actually really strong in the back. He was outlifting me and Andrew. So I've been around Andrew since April, so it's nothing new. It was seeing the new Regan that came to Dubai, and he was sick and traveling, and he still was killing it. So it was nothing new to train with Andrew. It was nothing new for me. It was actually Regan that was impressive.
So when you're saying he was impressive, you were more impressed because you've seen Andrew every day, and obviously Regan was impressive, you know, or more impressive. Was he more impressive?
When I first moved here, I didn't realize how big Andrew was, and Larry Wheels. Oddly enough, he doesn't come off as tall as he is on video. So when I first moved here, I had that like, oh shit, you know, Andrew's actually a pretty big dude. And then I think maybe because I haven't seen Regan since we went against each other on stage, and he's had this time off. He's actually training with my old workout partner. He stole my workout partner, Andy, in Vegas, and they've been killing it. So Regan was like at least twice the size of the last time I saw him. But his strength in back is very actually notable that I did not know about. But it makes sense.
Yeah, he's got a good back for sure. So
yeah.
Next question is from Tourist Art and NFTs. This dude does some awesome bodybuilding type artwork on Instagram. says, changes you guys think the Olympia needs to do to the stage setup this year? What do you guys think?
Go on. Well, you can tell he's been watching for a while because he knows that the old stages used to be awesome. Remember when Jay came out of the floor that year?
Yeah.
That shit was so sick.
Yeah, I think we need to
remember they have the stairs.
Like a plane drop, man. Like it just the screen is too much nowadays. Takes away from the league.
Even like I don't mind like when they had like the big Olympia lettering and stuff, because it seemed like you could still see a clear, you could still clearly see around the athlete. It wasn't like there was heaps of different colors and you can't see what's happening. And I like that. But yeah, when it had like the bronze, like when I think Phil Heath came out, or maybe it was Big Ramy, they had the bronze Olympia statue behind Big Ramy when he's walking out, and he's almost the same color. It's like it is so hard as a fan to look at that and like distinguish where his biceps and everything exactly are and how it looks. It's just hard to do, and it's a visual sport, and I think that just, for me, that needs to be sort of like taken as a priority, because most fans aren't even in the venue. Most fans are at home. Obviously you want to give them a in-person experience that's obviously much better than what you're going to get at home watching it on the play-by-play, but on the pay-per-view. But yeah, I think that needs to be changed, because most fans obviously, and most people that see this, are going to be seeing photos and videos after the fact, or live on this pay-per-view. But Nathan, what do you think?
I reckon there's too much lights for me. Too much theatre. The old stage were the best, like I said before, with the stairs coming behind it or things like that. Just something nice, but not too in your face, and obviously a clear backdrop. But obviously they're trying to sell it, aren't they, online? That's the main thing. So you got to see from both aspects, really. From a business point of view, and a ship backdrop, then you're not getting everything, are you? But if it's more theatrical, people are going to want to watch it, mate, aren't they? And let's be honest, bodybuilding's a fucking shit sport. It's fucking depressing to watch. I fall asleep myself when watching it. So I'm watching fucking men in a pair of fucking in a G-string, wearing tan, posing behind the fucking black curtain. I can see that on fucking everyone's checking every day. So it's a bit boring, it's a bit shit. So as from their point, but for us, that's the perfect silhouette, yeah. But then from a business, it's boring, mate. It's boring. So I get what they're trying to do. But then at the end of the day, it comes down to, can Steve and Tyler judge you, with what's going on? Then if they can, that's all that counts to me. The backdrop means nothing to the fans, to the guys who are moaning about it. As long as Steve and Tyler can judge that show fair and square, can see us perfect, then for me, mate, I don't give a fuck about the backdrop. I'm just coming with the best physique I've got, and that's it. But if the backdrop is nice, we get more, and then you get more viewers. More viewers equals more money, bigger payday, innit? So it's one of them. What you want? You just either want to get more followers and more dough, or do you want to see the perfect silhouette? What you want? You can't have both.
I think you can. I think having, like, there's so many fans demanding that, like, these lights are shit, blah, blah, blah. And they're obviously spending a ton of money to have that sort of production. I think if they just had, like, when they used to do back in the day, when they had the bodybuilder that's actually about to go on stage for their posing routine, have like a video of them and make that really high quality, just even if it's like 20 seconds.
You're talking about fucking theatrical now. You just been talking about the fucking backdrop. Make up your mind. I know it's early.
No, but I mean, like, you don't need the lights flashing in the background. You can do the production before the bodybuilder comes out, and then they're out, and then it's like, boom, like the focus is on them displaying the physique the best it can be displayed on stage. That's what I think.
If you're a fan of bodybuilding, a actual fan, right? Martin's a fan. Sergio's half a fan. I'm not a fan. Martin's a fan. Martin can appreciate that physique on stage, regardless of the lights or whatever. He's appreciating what that person's bringing. Now, if Martin's mum, who knows nothing about it, Martin, why is that? What's the background? What's happening? And she'll, oh, look at that. That writing's pretty. I'll watch that, Martin, with you. It brings more people to the stage, mates. It's like bikini. Who wants to watch bikini? No one. But you want to see a bit of minge and a bit of ass, and it puts ass on seats, mates. It does. Because let's be honest, any girl can be a bikini athlete. I don't give a fuck. Anyone can be it. It's not rocket science, mate. Bend over, show your gash to some old fellas, and go and win a show. You know, that's all it's doing. That's all you're doing. But it puts asses on seats. Now, you go to any of these amateur shows or you know, most of these shows for bikini and men's physique, they're fucking locked out. You go to a bodybuilding show, you can hit a pin drop, and it's about making money, mate. And it's that presence what you want. I think once they got that presence and they got that, you know, that whole, you know, demeanor, look, it's the Olympia, it's the prestige, then they could do a basic backdrop then when you know they've got the following. Right now, mate, bodybuilding, it was dying a few years ago. It was dying. Now, obviously, like Chris and the men, you know, classic guys and stuff, and the new era of bodybuilding are bringing it back up slowly and slowly and slowly. I think when it is back up to where it should be, then you'll get that basic backdrop and that people appreciate it. But for now, they're just trying to get more people to view it. Do you know what I mean?
What do you consider the new age of bodybuilding after it was dying then?
I would say it started going shit, right? I'm not the best fan because I'm not very fun follow, to be honest. I reckon it started going shit after like Phil's second Olympia. It started going shit, mate. The Kai Green stuff got boring because Kai was never beating Phil. He was a bag of dicks, right? That's what Phil said, and back and forth, and you're never beating me and all this crap. That's what they were saying, wasn't it? You're a bag of dicks, and what makes me the best, you know, best person. I've won this many. And then it got boring and old and it died. You know what I mean? And then it kind of went stale because Phil was talking his mind. Everyone started bashing Phil. And it got boring, you know what I mean? Because before Phil it was Jay. And that's when it was high then, I believe, because Ronnie and the whole battle with Ronnie and Jay, they were respectful. It was a battle, but they were respectful men. You know, Ronnie didn't diss Jay didn't diss Ronnie, but they both believed they were the best. You know, when Kai and Phil were at it for the first 2 years, it was good, and it was good, wasn't it? Like, yeah, fucking hell, Phil beat his ass, you know what I mean? And people bring up the past, it was good. And then after 2 years, it got boring. And I think once Phil faded out, and guys like myself and you and the new era, people started not giving a fuck, just showing the personality more. I don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? Fuck it. I do say what I want. So I believe the guys before then were kissing, sucking a lot more cock. Do you know what I mean? To get placings. To where the lads now, like, listen, this is what it is, isn't it? If a win, a don't. I'm not too arsed. Obviously, I love bodybuilding. I'm not going to fucking bow down to someone. I think us now are at that stage to, like, listen, I'd rather be a fan favourite than a judge's favourite. Like me, but I'm probably hated. But I'm like Marmite. People hate me. But I don't give a flying fuck. It's me, innit? That's just your own personality, and people show it. So I think, you know, the past 4 years, I believe it's gone a lot better because look at the interest following it since Chris, you know, and all them guys have come. It's gone up, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And bodybuilding is one of those things like anything. I mean, back in the day, you know, with Joe Weider and Arnold and Sergio, you could probably speak on this better than anyone. Obviously, your dad being a part of that era when it was, you know, I suppose, I don't know what you'd personally want to say. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that was more of an era of making bodybuilding look good to grow it, and there's probably corruption at play. You know what I mean? And Arnold was that guy that is he was the guy that was Joe Weider's pretty much guy to make bodybuilding popular in a way, I guess you'd say. So what's your thoughts on that? And obviously back then, in those days, corruption was something that was probably more common in a way, but it was much easier to get away with. Nowadays, with the internet and the way things are, and, you know, with not just bodybuilding, but many aspects of life, you can't really get away with as much stuff. So it seems like, you know, we're obviously seeing this Washington Post article that's gone up as well, which, you know, like you said, with the Sean Roden thing as well, it's more guilty. A lot of people are guilty until proven innocent, and we don't know what's going on there, what's going to go on with that. But what's your thoughts, I suppose, on, you know, back then and what Nathan had to say and how things are now?
Yeah, I don't think people know a lot about that stuff, you know, just because no matter what, people forget after a while. But yeah, there's stories I've heard where Joe Weider got rid of every single picture that showed my dad beating him. So that way there was just only proof. And if you look, you can't find a picture. You can find a picture where it's close, but you'll never find a picture where my dad is definitively beating Arnold. And a lot of them you'll see from some of the Olympias. My dad's actually behind him further back, so he looks like he's a lot smaller. And that was all Joe Weider's planning. And people get so crazy. They threaten me. They get so nuts when I say this, but they picked the right guy. Because if you had picked my father, the sport wouldn't have turned into what it did. So it's a hard argument when you have Arnold as the argument, because they should have done everything that they did to make the sport grow, because we wouldn't have what we have today. It probably wouldn't even have lasted. Who knows? Because if my dad was the champ, one, he doesn't speak English. So that would have been very hard to have someone traveling the world. He's not going to be in movies. There's going to be no pumping iron. There's not going to be anything like that we're going to get from it. And my dad had a really bad temper that definitely would have caused problems in the sport, where you have Arnold, who's very articulate, is very lovable, even though they tried to make him like a bad guy in pumping iron. But there's a lot of stories that they did back then that I heard. And you have to think too, the 60s and 70s, we're not even going to talk about the racism that was going on in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you think about the 60s, and I sort of we've obviously all lived through the year 2000 and stuff, and you think, oh yeah, 40, 50 years ago. It's 2022. It's like that was, a long time ago now. And things are obviously so different now in terms of all that sort of stuff. Back then it was like, your dad probably wouldn't have been allowed to go in certain places, like literally, like it's crazy
literally.
to even think about. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know if you guys can hear, but that's my kids running through the house. They're just woken up, so we might have to wrap this thing up in a second, because there's probably going to be a bang on my office door any minute now. But thank you guys so much for coming on. I want to give you guys an opportunity to promote whatever you want to promote. Sergio, give your sponsors a shout out, and I'll let Marty and Nathan give a shout out to their sponsors. Anyone may want to shout out as well. But man, let us know where people can reach you and any sponsors and stuff you want to thank.
I actually just want to thank Black Skull, not just because they're a sponsor, but because the first thing that they told me when I signed with them, one, after that, they said that they're going to continue to pay Cedric, because after Josh had his tumor, they kept paying him his contract. They finished out his contract. And then after Cedric died, they kept finishing his contract, which was a good amount of time, because I think he had like 8 months left in his contract. And they paid his family. They paid his wife until last month, all the way up until now. So they're just a really good company. But what was really good for me is that the first thing that they said to me is they said, we don't care what you place on stage, which is very rare. It's an amount of pressure. It's an amount of pressure that just doesn't exist today. There's a lot of people getting dropped because, you can, like we talked about it earlier on the show, you can eat one thing bad, spill over, and now that's it. Everybody gives up on you. Or me, I lost my Instagram in January and I lost tons of sponsors. So it was just really cool to have someone pick me up as a sponsor. I didn't even have my Instagram. Then nobody gave a shit about me. And the first thing they said is that they could care less of how I place at shows. And that was really cool. And I was able to move out here without any kind of guilt from anybody. And I've just been able to do my own thing. The people that helped me get my visa out here is New Extreme Sports. That's the people that I'm working with. They're the ones that promote all the functions in India that I go to, but they also stock all the gyms with the workout equipment. So even Benos, the gym that I'm here, that's been helping me, they stock that gym with a ton of workout equipment. So if it really wasn't for those two people, really, I wouldn't be able to be doing what I'm doing out here. And I've really been out here stress-free, and I'm actually enjoying bodybuilding again, because it wasn't enjoyable for me anymore. It was just kind of like a job, and having a good time. So I'm excited to come back and show that, man, once you really love bodybuilding, like we all do when we first started, before you get into all the bullshit that involves this sport, you can actually do really well. So I'm excited to show that.
Oh, that's cool, man. Love it. Nathan, we've got your trend year-round shirts coming out very, very soon. I'll pull up the design. I don't actually have it on the thing on the t-shirt. I can't find where that is, but it looks cool when you put it on a shirt in different colors and stuff like that. So that'll be out very, very soon.
Get on the t-shirts. Get on the t-shirts.
Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be cool. But what else do you want to promote, man? What's going on with your gym and all that sort of stuff?
No, guys, make sure you follow myself on Instagram. I'm now training again, back on YouTube, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. Find the camera guy. Just follow myself. I'm a sponsor Jan Moto. Again, like Sergio's company, don't care about where I place on stage. Allow me to be and do what I want to do. And also, putting up with me for this year. Not competing with two bicep tears. A lot of companies like Sergio said, would actually just drop you and wouldn't give a fuck. You know, when these guys, Sylvia, supporting me along the way, believe in me. So, you know, plus they're probably one of the best supplement ranges around. So, you know, follow them guys. Hopefully coming to the city near you very soon in the country. We are doing a lot of traveling next year. So big things to happen.
Yeah, awesome, man. Marty, you want to give a shout out to your sponsors and anything you've got going on?
Yeah, so obviously, shout out to Rise. They're awesome, man. They've taken great care of me, and we have a lot of big things coming. We have some new energy drinks coming very, very soon, some new flavors, and some other collabs that'll be awesome. So be on the lookout for that kind of stuff. Otherwise, guys, just, you know, follow my Instagram and stuff and the YouTube. We got a lot of content coming. Go watch the videos on Brett's channel. We did legs. I did legs with him twice, so the hamstring video should be coming out soon. I also trained with Blessing this last week, and he'll have a back video coming out soon. Hopefully can collab with these guys sometime soon when they come to the Olympia. So that would be cool too. Just plan content and stuff. And if you guys want to see content beyond my all that stuff, YouTube and Instagram and stuff, and make sure to let me know what you guys want to see, because that's kind of the plan right now. Just grow and improve, starting off season in January, and give you guys all the content.
Oh yeah, man. And also as well, shout out to Brett, who's competing obviously 1 week from now at the Romania Pro. He's looking absolutely next level, and he's probably going to be coming on as well, either on a podcast or just for a quick one-on-one before that Romania Pro as well. He said once he's situated there and, you know, got into a bit of a routine, we'll sort something out with that. So, Sergio, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, and man, love to have you on again. And I know I was giving you like 1-2 hours notice and stuff like that before doing a podcast. But like, bro, we're doing a podcast now. Want to jump on?
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. I get it, and I appreciate you making an effort every week to try and get me on, because I'm not doing any shows. I wanted to disappear and not do anything, so I appreciate you making an effort. I did just want to say before we sign off, as a fan of Martin and Brett, I'm so happy to see you two back together again. It's actually really cool, and to see that you guys started this and now getting back together, I can't imagine what you guys are going to look like. So from all your fans, as I am, and obviously one of your friends.
Oh
no!
Lost him at the worst time.
Shut down.
I mean, just to touch on that a little bit, man, that means the world to me. Brett and I training together was very, very refreshing for me. Brought back my favorite bodybuilding memories, and it was awesome, man. So definitely check those videos out, and I'm super excited for him, dude. He's gonna fucking kill it. He looks fucking insane. So it's gonna be cool, man. I'm super proud of him, and like Sergio said, for us to start this together, coming up from being fucking 200 pounds to now, is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I cannot wait to see, obviously, Brett next weekend competing there. We'll have all the coverage here on Desktop Bodybuilding. And if either of you guys were up and watching the show or anything like that and wanted to do one of the live streams with me or anything like that, because I'll do basically a live stream like I did with the shows last weekend where Mikel Cruzo competed and got his last weekend before, where he got his pro card anyway. Where he won his pro show.
I'll be up.
Sorry?
I'll be up.
I'm gonna be up.
You'll be up? Cool. Sick. Awesome. Sweet, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for doing this show once again. And thank you to everyone who tuned in live and everyone who is watching later. Let us know what your thoughts are on any of these topics we discussed today. Big Ramy's quads, Chris Bumstead, and all that sort of stuff. And just before we wrap it up, we have Sergio back for a second. Man, we were saying it was such a good moment. You were giving such a good, like, thing.
I just wanted to sign off with a bang.
Yeah.
I appreciate that very much, man. It means the world to me, and it was, like I said to these guys, it was so refreshing, bro. It was it's just another step in the long journey of us being training partners and moving up in the world, in this bodybuilding world together. So
yeah, for sure, man. That's awesome. Sweet. We're gonna wrap this thing up. Nathan's, I think, losing a bit of his connection there as well. But Sergio, Martin, Nathan, thank you guys for coming on so much once again. All these guys, myself, Xavier Wills, this is Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are out.